Cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. 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 On Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. Oh, you gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. Gotta have cheesecake. Oh, you gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. Gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. On Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. On Shavuos. Oh, you gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. Gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. Gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. On Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. Oh, you gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. Gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. On Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. 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 On Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. Gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. On Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. On Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. On Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos, on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. Gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. On Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake. You gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos. On Shavuos. You gotta have cheesecake. Everybody, have a great Yom Tov and enjoy your cheesecake on Shavuos. And don't forget, you gotta have cheesecake on Shavuos.